For a long time, Metal Gear Solid 2 Sons of Liberty was my favorite video game of all time. It was a weird choice to many because it's a game that's so out there and so bizarre.
What are you... What the...
You're a man?
What the fuck, man? And it didn't sit well with Metal Gear Solid fans because of Raiden. But to me, the underlying themes were so profound and mind-blowing and prophetic that it blew my goddamn mind right away. I mean, this is coming from the guy who understood the Matrix trilogy after a couple watches, so... But people back then didn't understand Metal Gear Solid 2 Sons of Liberty, and they continued to make fun of it until recently. It wasn't until the rise of social media that people finally gave the game credit for how prophetic it was about the internet. This game was released way back in 2001. That was before Twitter, before Facebook, before MySpace, and technically even before 9/11. The game was released on November 13th, 2001, but the game was in development since 1999. They had to make last-minute changes right before the release to exclude the Twin Towers because of 9/11. In fact, the original plot actually intended for Snake to go to Iraq and Iran. 6 months into development, however, the situation in the region got so bad that they figured it would be more appropriate to change the plot of the game. That just goes to show you how in tune Kojima was with the times. With MGS2, Kojima was able to warn us about the oncoming storm that was difficult to describe at the time: the dreadful power of the internet. It's gonna take me eternity to explain what the fuck happens in a single Metal Gear Solid game. But if you could summarize Metal Gear Solid 2 Sons of Liberty into one word, it would be memetics. Or memetics? I don't fucking... AKA memes. The concept of memetics predates the internet. Memetics is the... I fucking said memetics is a concept that information also evolves, just like genes do. We see this all throughout history. For example, the Romans took from the Greeks took from the Egyptians. Okay, you get that concept? Right, okay, good. Stick with me here. Metal Gear Solid 1 stars tactical secret agent Solid Snake on a mission to stop terrorists from threatening the world with a nuclear weapon called Metal Gear. Let's not get any deeper than that. Seriously, no, that's all you need to know for this video. Metal Gear Solid 2 Sons of Liberty seems to continue Snake's journey, but then a quarter through the game we are suddenly flung into the perspective of this pretty boy Raiden. Who is this guy? But you immediately notice that he's on an eerily similar mission to Snake's from the first Metal Gear Solid game. So yada yada yada, plot twists happen, and then you realize, wait a minute, this is basically the first Metal Gear Solid game all over again. What the fuck is going on? In the game, the Patriots are revealed to be the main antagonists. They are a shadowy organization who control the United States, and only a select few like the president know about them. They're the most powerful organization in the world, but nobody has any idea where they live or what they look like. They're basically the Illuminati. So the Patriots orchestrate a fanciful experiment that basically tests the concept of memetics. It's revealed that Raiden's mission was a setup to mimic Solid Snake's mission from the first game. They wanted to see if Raiden could grow to be the same person as Solid Snake. So literally, this sequel is intentionally one big meme of the first game. But that's only a quarter of the real purpose of their experiment. The Patriots prophesized the ill effects of the internet on the real world. They reveal that their true plan all along was to find a way to control human thought, and memetics are key to that. You see, memetics is a real concept and a real thing that people study. As the wiki states, memetics is a study of information and culture based on an analogy with Darwinian evolution. Memetics describes how an idea can propagate successfully, but doesn't necessarily imply a concept is factual. Critics contend the theory is untested, unsupported, or incorrect. This is precisely what the Patriots wanted to test: how information can transfer from person to person, and how incorrect ideas can still thrive. In the game's story, they were able to orchestrate events exactly as they happened from Metal Gear Solid 1. They used the information from their experiment to fit their greater purpose of controlling human thought. They conclude that society is inept and immature. They point out that society has many conflicting ideals and half-truths, and that the internet will only bring out the worst in people by propagating useless information. Never before have humans had the power to spread so much information, not all of which is pertinent to the progression of humanity. Before the internet, information was controlled by those in power, people like the church or the government. It may seem bad to us, the modern viewer, but to the Patriots, they argued that at least the information back then was useful and pertinent to the human race. It kept us on a certain path. The problem they see now is that the internet gives everyone the power of memetics, even the bad information. Therefore, they predict that humanity's future will become bleak as more and more people follow the wrong information. Their solution? Censor the internet. It seems like a bad idea on paper, right? Who would want to censor the internet, right? But here's the thing about villains in any Metal Gear Solid game. They kind of have a point, and it's scary to think about. That's what makes a great villain after all. A great antagonist challenges the protagonist's struggles and ideals. The Joker, Killmonger, Magneto, Liquid Snake. The Patriots reveal this master plan at the very end of the game when they call Raiden. It's a long conversation, about 13 minutes long. Jesus Christ, Kojima. But I will put here the key arguments they make that are the same arguments we are making today about social media.
In the current digitized world, trivial information is accumulating every second, preserved in all its triteness, never fading, always accessible.
Rumors about petty issues, misinterpretations, slander.
All this junk data, preserved in an unfiltered state, growing at an alarming rate.
It will only slow down social progress, reduce the rate of evolution.
The digital society furthers human flaws and selectively rewards development of convenient half-truths. Just look at the strange juxtapositions of morality around you. Special. Believe in yourself and you will succeed.
But it's obvious from the start that only a few can succeed.
You exercise your right to freedom, and this is the result. All rhetoric to avoid conflict and protect each other from hurt. The untested truths, spun by different interests, continue to churn and accumulate in the sandbox of political correctness and value systems.
Everyone withdraws into their own small gated community, afraid of a larger forum. They stay inside their little ponds, leaking whatever truth suits them into the growing cesspool of society at large.
The different cardinal truths neither clash nor mesh. No one is invalidated, but nobody is right.
Not even natural selection can take place here. The world is being engulfed in truth.
And this is the way the world ends. Not with a bang, but a whimper. Nothing but abuse your freedom.
You don't deserve to be free.
We're not the ones smothering the world. You are.
The individual is supposed to be weak, but far from powerless. A single person has the potential to ruin the world.
And the age of digitized communication has given even more power to the individual. Too much power for an immature species.
Okay, so we understand everything now? Here's where it gets interesting. Both liberal and conservative gamers use that scene to attack the other side. Both sides cherry-pick parts of the video to further prove their argument, rather than seeing the entire philosophical conundrum that drives it. I personally find it amusing and enjoyable to watch. Liberals love this game because it points out the consequences of fake news, baseless conspiracy theories, and the rich elite controlling everything. Meanwhile, conservatives love this game to point out how liberals are trying to censor free speech and change language to be more politically correct. The value systems, as the Patriots mentioned, are things that conservatives argue against, like forcing diversity. My favorite part is watching both sides point to the other and accusing them of being in echo chambers. It becomes even more confusing and twisted when both sides seem to support statements that the Patriots are saying, while also criticizing the Patriots themselves and say stuff like, oh, the liberals are really the Patriots, or the conservatives are really the Patriots. At its core, the Patriots mention how humans are focused on trivial information using the internet. Cat videos, sports, celebrity drama, and whatever the fuck this shit was. We are so fascinated with the dumbest things. All of these things are at the forefront of our social consciousness when there are so many more important things to focus on. That's partly what the Patriots in Metal Gear Solid warned Raiden about. You thought you were worried about procrastinating on the internet too much? The whole world is doing that. You are doing it right now, watching this stupid ass video. But that's only a fraction of what the Patriots warned Raiden about. It goes beyond just memes and cat videos. It's the spread of misinformation. As part of their grand experiment, the Patriots lied to the people participating in it, proving that people would believe just about anything. Recently, an interview that the late Terry Pratchett gave Bill Gates in 1995 has resurfaced, due to Terry Pratchett's prophetic words about the internet. In the interview, he asked Bill how we could stop a hypothetical situation in which a person online shares bogus bogus information about the Jews starting World War II? How would people be able to tell that it's made up? What do we do when the lines between reliable and unreliable sources begin to blur? Bill Gates' response was interesting for two reasons. One, he was wrong and way too optimistic about misinformation not being a thing. And two, he alluded to the creation of a hypothetical authoritative index that people could refer to as a standard. The closest thing I could think of is Wikipedia, but obviously the problem with that is that it's not authoritative. It can be edited by anyone. Maybe what we need is a Wikipedia that's only edited by experts in the field and their peers. But I think it's kind of late for that right now, because we do have authoritative indexes on the internet. It's just nobody cares to look them up because Wikipedia has all the cool stuff, like a list of every single episode of One Piece. More importantly, the really good shit is stuck behind a paywall. Anyway, the Patriots in MGS2 also warned us about this. They predicted how we now live in a post-truth world. Anyone can be convinced that anything is true, and even when faced with actual evidence, they still believe what they want to believe. It's fucking insane. How? Why? Because of memetics. Say some bullshit and someone will believe it, and then pass it on to someone else. The most contagious pathogen out there is a thought. The Patriots see the internet as a tool that is too powerful for humans to wield. As history has seen time and time again, we like to abuse our freedom. The internet would only exacerbate that abuse. When taken to its extreme, freedom eventually trips over itself. I have the right to do this. No, you don't, because I have the right to do this. Actually, I have the right to do this. The Patriots then argue that nobody has a right because we destroy our sense of self. The concept of self is something we create in order to feel better about ourselves. We like to say we have a self, but then refuse his existence when we do something wrong and instead place the blame on others. That's why the Patriots say that we're too immature. The scary thing about the Patriots being kinda right is that the internet is quite literally leading to our demise as I'm speaking right now. Not only is misinformation leading people astray, but pointless discussions are also influencing politics. Even though we like to say that our political stances are founded on facts and important decisions, they are extremely and heavily influenced by strong feelings behind petty arguments like, "Those damn liberals ruined Star Wars for me," or "Should Will Smith have slapped Chris Rock the fucking cock?" For the love of God, this grown-ass man released a nearly 15-minute long video on a tweet he made that Twitter took down, and it's like he's so serious about it, and he said that he'd rather die than delete a tweet, and it's just... We waste time making such long moral diatribes on the most pointless things. The more we do that, the more we ignore real issues happening around us, and the faster we head towards our doom. Remember The Incredibles? When Syndrome was like,
"I'll sell my invention so that everyone can be superheroes. Everyone can be super. And when everyone's super, no one will be."
It's kind of like that. You see, if everybody has a platform, then nobody has a platform. Having a platform ceases to be special. Yes, everyone can have a voice, but not everyone deserves a platform to stand on. That's the difference. Some really awful people have taken to the stage, and even though their opinions are deeply flawed or just plain wrong, there's a certain school of thought that enables their behavior. We have reached the point of a paradox. The paradox of tolerance. We have allowed everyone to the stage, even people who are highly intolerant of others. Which, ironically, we should be intolerant about. Because their intolerance clashes with our tolerance, but our tolerance should in effect be because it 404 error.
You're a sick dude about yourself. You're a sick man, Roger Stone. You're the world's biggest liar.
Fuck you, I'm talking.
Nothing makes sense anymore. The internet becomes a tale told by an idiot, full of sound and fury, signifying nothing. And you know who takes advantage of this chaos? People with money. The Patriots mentioned how special interests influence everything. This game literally predicted shit like Cambridge Analytica and data mining. At the end of the day, who is really profiting from all this madness? Who is profiting from people bickering about rings of power? Amazon. Who is profiting from people bickering about Captain Marvel? Disney. Who is profiting from people bickering about comedians? Comedians. We are nothing more than the fodder that keeps churning out cash for them. Entrepreneurs profit off your activity in order to advertise their products. Comedians make edgy jokes to be on the front page news and make money. And politicians profit off your activity in order to further their agenda. They all want to make the world look a certain way with fake outrage, just so that they can make more fucking money. They want to make you believe what they want you to believe. This ridiculous notion of rich people saying they're being persecuted has to stop.
It's time to stop!
They can make the world how they see fit. They have the money. They just want more people to agree with them. Everyone seems to forget the cardinal rule in a society like ours. Never trust anyone in power. Trust is capitalism's greatest weapon. The internet has existed in some form since 1983. I mean, okay, technically the 60s, yeah, it's been around a lot longer than lay people realize. Back then, it was mostly for people who were really into computers. But even when it was publicly introduced in 1990, the internet as we know today really boomed at the turn of the new millennium.
Welcome.
New movies and music.
Well, movie phone.
It's like a friend just pops in to say hi.
My buddy list is huge. I have like 80.
Welcome. You've got mail. You've got goodbye.
While it was created with the best intentions of being a way for people to freely exchange ideas and knowledge,
the internet gave us a whole world of exciting new possibilities. So I guess this is a story of how it changed our lives. Maybe it will yours too.
it also became a tool for the worst in humanity to come out.
I don't give a fuck about you at all. I just want you to pull your head out of your ass and let other people enjoy the fucking game.
It's simultaneously a good idea and a bad idea. So we have this problem about the internet, right, that MGS2 predicted. What if people keep spreading misinformation? What do we do about that? How do we keep our principle of free speech while also making sure that humanity doesn't take a nosedive? What the fuck do we do besides bashing our heads on the wall? Well, okay. First off, we need to stop viewing this issue through liberal or conservative lenses, and more just as a philosophical question that we have to answer. It's a puzzle, it's a conundrum. The answer to this paradox and question about censorship on the internet for the sake of human progress isn't exactly a yes or a no. It's both.
¿Por qué no los dos?
Like most things in life, it's a compromise. When I first learned about Greek philosophy, I was attracted to the concept of the golden mean. It basically means nothing in excess. As an example, too much courage is recklessness, and too little courage is cowardice. One has to know when to fight and when to retreat. The older I got, the more I started to realize that the answer to many things in life lie in moderation. Even kindness. Too little kindness is mean, but too much kindness allows you to be abused and stepped on. But Scotty, you might say, raising your hand enthusiastically, this can't possibly be applied to everything in life. You're right, it can't. You can't be like, too much murder, or not enough murder, or like too much rape, or not enough rape. That's why the golden mean can even be applied to the golden mean itself. Too much of the golden mean and you can become oppressive. Too little of the golden mean and you allow evil to spread. I heard you like to moderate, so I put some moderation in your moderation so you can moderate while you moderate. Which surprisingly makes sense here. So just to be clear, this isn't to say to be neutral. Being neutral in the face of evil will always be bad. How would this golden mean be applied to the internet? The internet should be seen as the playground by which everyone is allowed in. That's the base rule. From there on out, there is a mix of privately owned and publicly owned content, each with their own rules and guidelines. All of this sounds pretty mundane and reasonable so far, but people don't seem to really understand. The internet is basically an emulation of the world as a whole. I think that's where the confusion is with the situation surrounding Elon Musk buying Twitter. Twitter is not the internet. It's a website within the internet, but we certainly treat it as if it were the internet. We put so much power into the richest and most popular site that we forget that the internet exists literally everywhere else. We are playing right into Twitter's hands and Elon's by simply arguing about what can or can't be said on it. Remember what I said about the rich people profiting off our bickering? The question isn't, should Twitter ban people who spread misinformation or hate speech? The real question here is, Why has Twitter monopolized our social consciousness as being the internet? Because it isn't, nor should it be. We gave it way too much power. We only care about free speech on the internet when it pertains to the richest, most popular websites and apps. In this country, the United States, nobody can arrest you for saying things like, Biden is a senile old fuck, or Trump looks like he has a fucking goiter all the time. You won't be sent to a concentration camp. You won't be forced into some Orwellian political rehabilitation camp. That doesn't mean that on a cultural level, people aren't going to like what you have to say, or shun you from a group, whether it be in person or online. One argument that the Patriots make, and even you, yes, you watching this, make, is that social media creates echo chambers. People are funneling themselves into a gated community and preaching to the choir. I hate to break this to you, but that's what humans have been doing since we first settled. What do you think a culture is? Culture is just a more elaborate way of saying echo chamber. It's more respectable. Every culture has their own set of collected rules that people generally agree with, their own taboos and norms. You can't say that every human across the board will or should enjoy the same things. That defeats the very notion of culture and in effect to the theory of evolution. Evolution creates different thought processes. You can always retreat into your own hole and make your own website and spout your own stupid beliefs. I think that's the balance that exists, the answer to the question of censorship on the internet, that yes but no. You can say dumb shit like chemtrails are making us gay and other things that are clearly not true. Nobody will arrest you for it. But by God, people are going to tell you to shut the fuck up and go away. That's why concepts like shame and ostracization exists. Every culture, every society has their respective shunned members. That's how we work as humans. When you go to China, you can't log into certain websites. People who live there have no idea about entire websites that we view here daily. Here, we can log into whatever we want. I mean, within reason. Because, you know, that's the whole moderation part. None of this, by the way, is a grand cosmic revelation. This isn't a new philosophy. This has been discussed and dissected for centuries. So why does it seem like we haven't figured it out? Because we're fucking stupid, that's why. We just don't like answers like that. We would rather be right than happy any day of the week. And that's how we got into this mess. In fact, I believe that many answers to life's most difficult problems are right there. We just don't want to fucking accept them, which is itself another problem entirely for an entirely different video. I've been an internet rat for the longest time. I'm what you would call an elder god when it comes to the internet, maybe. I technically was here on YouTube back in 2006, but then I made a new channel, this channel, to rebrand myself. So I've been here a very long time. I've seen things. I knew what the internet was like before social media.
I was there, Gandalf. I was there 3,000 years ago.
When I grew up with the internet, I grew up with internet forums. They are largely gone by now, but these were message boards dedicated to different topics that you could join and talk about. There were forums about video games, about Nintendo games, about cars, about needlework, about writing, hey look, there I am, and about everything else imaginable. The people who ran these message boards had their own sets of rules and guidelines and codes of conduct. If you broke those codes of conduct, you got banned and that was the end of it. Fuck off. So you went somewhere else to go be an idiot. If you wanted to be a fucking ding-dong, then you went to bellfactoryforums.com to be a ding-dong there. That is the internet that I grew up with. It was an infinite field of diverse communities. The internet was a river that ebbed and flowed, but the diversity of online capabilities has dissolved. The internet is now just Twitter, Facebook, Amazon, and Google. Let's face it, that's about it. You use Google to look shit up in 5 seconds, Amazon to buy everything, Facebook to keep in touch with family and friends, even though we all hate Mark Zuckerberg, but we stupidly do it anyway. If you're feeling extra creative though, then you use Instagram. YouTube is kinda dead, let's face it, I'm a necromancer at this point. The general populace would much prefer TikTok anyway, which is really just a cringier version of Vine. Reddit is just, let's put all the forums into one and it's still hell. And Twitter is everything else. There's hardly any diversification of communities anymore. Instead, we have crammed the whole existence of human consciousness into like 2 or 3 major websites. So, were the Patriots right? Is censoring the internet the only way to prevent this madness? No, of course not. I think they were right about identifying the problem and making us aware of it. I don't think their execution of the solution is a good idea. You can't just censor the internet across very broadly with a broad stroke of a broad canvas metaphors, I didn't write this bit. My solutions would be threefold. 1. Diversify the internet. We used to have Yahoo and Hotmail and AOL, and now it's all just Gmail. Remember Club Penguin? Kids don't have stuff like that anymore. Artists have a fuck of a hard time finding a place online to showcase their work without running into issues. It lies down to a hit or miss with Instagram or Twitter. Deviant art is a shit show. Tumblr shot down the NSFW community. Porn, fucking porn, is having a hard time creating communities online. Remember how we all used to sing about how the internet was for porn? Not anymore. Nobody has made that joke in ages because of this thing. You know, that thing that was supposed to protect children from sex trafficking, but instead it was written in a way that ended up stifling legitimate sex workers online. Come on, if you really wanted to protect kids from sex trafficking, you would have kept a closer eye on this guy. But hey, look, that's just me. But that's a true sign of the end times, when it becomes more and more difficult for you to find good porn on the internet. Something is dreadfully wrong with the world. Diversifying the internet would allow more communities to thrive and, I believe, naturally filter the misinformation and the evil opinions from the most popular parts of the internet. This might sound too hopeful and trusting in human nature, but I just believe that the bad stuff would naturally be set apart from the good, wholesome internet. Because that's how I experienced the internet back in the day. It had more of a map, like a fantasy world. You had people here and there, and over there was the bad place. The fucking Mordor of the internet. You ever went down the rabbit hole of the internet and you were like, I'm in the weird part again. I think it's time to get out. I very much remember a time in 2010 when I was up late at night watching YouTube videos, and I found this, I'll never forget it, I found this deranged woman's video who spoke to the camera with like this creepy, wide-eyed look. And she talked about how diversity was equivalent to genocide for white people. And I watched this video and honestly, I was laughing like, holy shit, this woman's crazy. That was my, I'm in the weird part of the internet again moment. Little did I know that rhetoric would be highlighted years later because it was hot and trending and oh so controversial. This is why I view the creation of Parler as a good thing. Fine, go there. That's how the internet should work anyway. Create your own home. I had to edit this part last to acknowledge the creation of Mastodon, a Twitter alternative.
Fantastic.
Keep the new sites coming. 2. Bring back forums. They were the best way for people to interact with each other on the internet. Instead of everyone screaming in a single website and trying to be famous by seeing who's the wittiest in 280 characters or less, people actually grew up with each other and got to know each other through the internet. Now, the closest hope we have, in my opinion, is Discord. My problem with Discord is its lack of security. You can't publicly share your space unless you want to be threatened with spam or worse. The government can also poke in there at their leisure. Discord is basically an internet forum on the palm of your hand, but it also lacks the creativity of internet forums. It's like what Henry Ford said about his cars at the time. You can have any color you want, so long as it's black. If there's a way to make an app that has so much power that you can make an entire forum the way you want, that would be golden. Because let's face it, people aren't going to go on their browser every time and put in HTTP blah 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 and enter their login and scroll down a half-loaded website. No one's going to do that. No one has done that in a long time. It has to be quick and efficient, just like an app. 3. The internet shouldn't be focused so much on money. It feels weird saying that, but it's true. And this is probably the hardest of all. And it won't change unless society as a whole sees a shift from capitalism. The internet, as I used to know it, is dead. It's now run by the super rich. You can't do anything without stepping on copyright laws or having your data used to cater to advertising. If I were to go back in time and tell a YouTuber from 2006 that in around 2019, you would have to sit through unskippable ads.
Win at work by communicating effectively with Grammarly.
Liberty Mutual customizes my car insurance, so I only pay for what I need.
They'd be like, what the fuck happened? Didn't we make YouTube to avoid this shit? If you weren't around here when YouTube started, find an old YouTube channel. You'll see that the content is much more real, much more useful even. Nobody had any reason to try and be something they weren't. Nowadays, everyone is trying to make it big on YouTube. Everyone is trying to make an attractive thumbnail. They study their analytics and oh my god, this used to be fun. Remember when this used to be fun? This used to be fun. And now it looks like this. Now we are at the mercy of corporations trying to make money by going, what's the most controversial topic right now that will get views? If there's one remedy for this, it's this. Make your content without worrying about being famous. Just for once, try to be you. If there's one thing I learned about being a YouTuber, it's that make your content with as much pride as if you were famous. If you only have 3 viewers who always watch your videos, then treat those 3 viewers like 3,000. We can't lose sight of diversifying the internet. We can't let the rich monopolize the internet. We are so obsessed with convenient, all-in-one sites, but it's hell. The balance that used to exist is now fractured and stomped on. The bad opinions are always highlighted for the sake of profit. People like to blame the technology itself. They always do that. But when people blame the technology, they are really avoiding the true culprit, themselves. I'll leave this chapter with one last thought. What's the point of social media? The very phrase social media has a strong negative connotation now. We like to think about people complaining about things. That's the bad side, yes. But what's the overall point? Like, why bother? When answering this question, I like to think about my wandering thoughts about what life was like before popular media as a whole even existed. I often wondered, how did an everyday peasant live in medieval England? Or what did people in ancient Rome do on their spare time when they weren't doing what they were supposed to be doing? What were their cultural memes that are now lost to time? Because for the vast majority of human history, only those in power filtered information that they deemed important. That was what the Patriots wanted in Metal Gear Solid 2 Sons of Liberty. Today, we are not only more connected than ever before, but we can actually show how the other half lives. Even if it's not politically charged or scientifically important, even if it's as simple as someone showing off their vaping skills at a party, or a teenager pulling a prank at a drive-thru, or someone showing the world how much they love their cat. She didn't want me to move this. And now we're playing with the laundry. Patechku. While I love Metal Gear Solid 2 Sons of Liberty so much, I also recognize its faults. Kojima isn't exactly the best at writing dialogue and clear plot lines, Lord knows.
You're a man?
I've been inside this arm all along, waiting for the right time to awaken.
But the ideas behind every game he ever made was mind-blowing for its time and served a greater purpose. There are really two kinds of gamers who play Metal Gear Solid. There are gamers who are like, bro, what the fuck is going on? And gamers who are like, this is the most profound shit I have ever experienced in my entire life. Metal Gear Solid fans are basically like Matrix fans. You know what you're getting yourself into. Normies are like, what the fuck is going on? This sucks. It makes no sense. This is the worst thing ever. While fans are like, ah yes, the deconstruction of capitalism with guns and robots. My favorite. At the end of Metal Gear Solid 2 Sons of Liberty, Snake told Raiden to find something to believe in and fight for it. Don't follow what anyone else says. The irony is that doing that in effect mimics Snake, and the Patriots pointed it out to Raiden.
I'll decide for myself what to believe and what to pass on.
But is that even your own idea?
Or something Snake told you?
The game doesn't really resolve this specific philosophical conundrum, but I think it's pretty obvious that as humans we have an innate desire to pass things on. Snake just told Raiden like, hey, it's not just about your genes, you know. I was around 18 when I first played MGS2. I had just entered college and I was going through a weird time in my life. Listening to Solid Snake's monologue about the meaning of life at the end of Metal Gear Solid 2 gave me new life. It's cringe looking back at it and saying that out loud, but we've all done shit like that. We've all looked up to fictional characters and wanted to emulate them. I was feeling defeated in my sophomore year of college. I didn't know what I wanted to do in life and I was broken. I was Raiden, and Solid Snake helped me figure out what to do with my life.
Find something to believe in and find it for yourself. And when you do, pass it on to the future.
Believe in what?
That's your problem. Come on.